We've shown lots of bait ball footage this year, but this is something new. Our friends Brian and Susan came down in November, and Brian had a 360 camera, which captured fantastic footage of a small bait ball that swam right around him. 360 cameras capture everything around you, so he was able to capture the bait ball's approach and adjust the frame as it passed by. Here's a different shot. I just love this part, where it looks like the sun is absorbing each fish and then respawning them a little later. Anyway, food for thought if you're looking for a new toy. And if you're looking for more underwater imagery, as well as some pretty sweet land shots, check out bspencer505 on Instagram. Now, back to the show. The first of our 8 first-time captures for November are a couple of yellow-belly hamlets. We saw this one on a cloudy day near the beginning of the month, and were able to capture a better example in the shallows on a sunny day at a completely different site later in the month. Okay, this one is going to take some time, since A, we got a lot of awesome footage, and B, it happened over half an hour across the entire dive site. These are branching tube sponges spawning. The foggy clouds are actually millions of gametes that get released en masse to increase their chances of being fertilized and landing on a suitable place to grow. We have multiple clips and pictures of this event up and down the reef. It was truly an amazing scene to witness. I also got lucky on this one as well. I thought this chocolate brittle star, also known as a circle-marked brittle star, was going to crawl into the crack it was right in front of. But it decided to cross an open stretch in the shallows to another opening and gave me an awesome look, which I very much appreciated. On another night dive, I caught this very small auger snail crawling on the bottom. It was less than half an inch long and was just starting to burrow into the sand, which is kind of a perfect metaphor because the common name auger refers to the long tapered and spiral shells which look a lot like drill bits. Circle of life warning on this clip. Skip ahead to the 4:35 mark if you prefer not to watch. Somehow, this feather duster worm became dislodged and was struggling to re-anchor itself. We're not sure if the sharpnose puffer had anything to do with the actual dislodging, but it sure was interested in the aftermath. Sharpnose puffers are omnivores, and will eat anything from seagrass, to urchins, to small shrimp and crabs, to yes, feather dusters. After watching for a bit, the puffer attacked the base, and was able to pull part of the worm out. A little while later, it went in to finish it off, like a string of spaghetti. Circle of life warning number 2, and we mean that literally, because in this one, it's the sharpnose puffer that gets eaten. Again, you can skip ahead to the 4:35 mark if you prefer not to watch. Leslie called me over to see this very active, intermediate phase bluehead wrasse. It chased a smaller initial phase bluehead wrasse for a while, but then it got bored or tired. Luckily, I didn't, and kept filming. Then it came across a small sharp-nosed puffer that looked like lunch. After taking an initial bite, the puffer blew itself up and then became too big for the wrasse to swallow. Not willing to let the catch go, the wrasse then made some rather aggressive attempts to break or deflate the puffer, which eventually worked, and the wrasse swallowed it whole. We're certainly not going to end on a downer, so how about a couple of first-time babies? This is a juvenile pudding wife. We've seen lots of initial and terminal phase pudding wifes before, or should that be pudding wives? Either way, we added a juvenile to the collection. We'll close out this section with an, as of yet, unidentified young fish. We're still trying to track this one down, but it appears to be either a juvenile parrotfish or someone suggested something in the Serranus genus, which includes a number of basses like harlequin and lantern, as well as tobacco fish. If you have any suggestions, please leave us a comment below. And while you're doing that, we'll move on to the behavior section. Let's raise the adorable level a bit more. We typically move slowly around the reef to let sea life get accustomed to our presence. It worked so well on this dive that a sharpnose puffer not only felt comfortable approaching Leslie, but decided to make her camera rig a temporary home. If I didn't know better, I would swear it was napping in this shot. We haven't highlighted blue tang swarms in a while, but there is a good chance you'll see one at some point over a week of diving. Watching a school of fish ravage a coral head is fascinating, and we've gotten used to seeing the blue tang, but it was kind of odd to see the same behavior by this relatively large school of princess parrotfish. We observed this behavior for about 10 minutes as they moved between coral heads. While there were a few adults in there, most of them seemed to be in the initial phase. And, of course, the ever-opportunistic trumpetfish were there to catch any small critters trying to get away from the mass of algae-eating parrotfish. I thought my buddy Keith, who was filming an eel, was going to get attacked by these two lobsters, until I realized they were much more interested in each other. Well, technically, the larger male was interested in the female. She spent most of her time walking around coral heads, over coral heads, under coral heads, and even sprinting over the sandy bottom in an effort to deter the male's advances. Eventually, we had a frogfish to see, so how this ended remains a mystery. We've shown cymothoid isopods on Atlantic creolefish before, but usually the fish are swimming and it's hard to get a good shot. This one was very relaxed and gave us the closest and stablest footage we've taken so far. This clip may be less of a behavior and more of a reaction. The surge was a little strong for this lettuce leaf slug, causing it to hold on very tightly to the coral it was crawling on, which exposed its spotted underbelly. We don't get to see that side of lettuce leaf slugs too often. This is how Leslie and I would spend our days if we were balloonfish. But seriously, we have seen an uptick in balloonfish in November. You'll see that in our sea life tracker a little later in this video. As far as behaviors go, we don't typically see two together like this, and one was definitely protective of the other. According to the Aquarium of the Pacific website, balloonfish are broadcast spawners. The males slowly push the females toward the water surface, where both immediately spawn. So this may have been in preparation for that activity. We really do feel bad about sharing the Circle of Life clips, but those events happen all the time, and they are part of the system that keeps the reef going. Truth be told, we see many more hunting parties than individual hunters, and they come in all sorts of combinations. It's just that we don't get lucky enough to capture the end result that often. So, I suppose this would be a nice counterpoint clip. The yin to the yang. A bit of feng shui, marine style. This is a small school of scad, happily swimming around a very docile barracuda that didn't even mind me getting close. How's that for harmony? We don't see crevalle jacks that often. Sometimes they're hanging around bait balls, but this one was just swimming by in the open water. Perhaps it was swimming to a bait ball. And it's been years since we've seen a blackjack. You can identify those by the steep forehead and extended dorsal and anal fins. I saw this one while Leslie was filming something else. I wrote about it on my slate, but it disappeared. Until it came back, swimming from behind her. I usually see mushroom scorpionfish on my night dives. They are much smaller than their more common cousins, the spotted scorpionfish, only growing up to 2 inches long. They're named for the growths hanging down near the top of their eyes that look like upside-down mushrooms. We repeated the same downtown site a few days apart and saw a school of sennets swimming along the bottom of the reef on both dives. We don't typically stay down that deep, so each clip is basically me trying to get down there for a better shot. But hey, it's proof we saw them. Sometimes, all you need to do is follow a trail to find something big. And this was a long trail. We followed these tracks at the bottom of the reef for almost 100 feet. Ultimately, they led us to a queen conch that was absolutely huge. Look at the size of the lip on its shell. Clearly, it was on a mission for some food. By contrast, we saw a juvenile queen conch later in the month. The shell on this one was just over an inch long. Let's go even smaller. Leslie spotted this neck crab, which was almost indistinguishable from the surrounding algae on this orange elephant ear sponge. It was an amazing find. The following week, I saw 2 more on a night dive. No doubt that was because of Leslie's find, and my shape recognition for them was heightened. The night dives have been very productive. Actually, they are the only times I've seen a leather-backed platydoris. The one here was the smallest I've ever seen. Perhaps only half an inch long. But it was glorious. As was this green clinging crab, which I caught completely by accident. I was trying to get the orange spongy decorator crab, but it wasn't moving much. Another crab I saw was this very beautiful, charming porcelain crab chilling in an opening between rocks. They are just so colorful. We last saw a devil worm in June. This is a good example of why they can be hard to find. Their small tube homes are often built in between rocks or coral and only stick out a little bit. Look for the 2 spiny projections coming out. It's also been a while since we've seen a furry sea cucumber. To be honest, they're more spiky than furry. We found this one inside an engine block in the shallows. But these aren't the only interesting things we saw in November. I'm in the 2nd month of documenting all of the uncommon animals captured on video in our Sea Life tracker. This table shows everything I've cataloged in November. The colorful columns on the left show how many dives each animal was seen, and a calculation suggesting the % chance each animal might be seen going forward. The white columns on the right indicate which dive each animal was encountered. This is a new monthly view that shows all of the uncommon sea life we've seen since October. It's a pretty impressive list with over 125 animals on it. Bonaire continues to impress. Feel free to pause and rewind the video if you want to take a closer look. And if you like this content, find it entertaining and/or informative, consider subscribing to the Tropic Lens channel. You can also let us know what you think of our Sea Life tracker in the comment section below, or you can just like the video. Anything and everything will help the channel grow. Why not spread a little holiday joy? Thanks! Smiley face.